If you are over 60 and you have noticed your vision getting worse over the last year, especially the small print on the prescription bottle, the names on the church bulletin, the face of your granddaughter when the light is low, I am going to tell you in the next 15 minutes which 5 foods are quietly damaging the small blood vessels behind your eye. One of these 5 is in your refrigerator right now, and your doctor probably told you it was healthy. I am Mama Aisha, and what I am about to share with you is not in the prescription pad. It is in the pantry. The 5 foods I am going to count down from number 5 to the master at number 1 are not the ones the magazines warn you about. They are foods our people have been told are normal, even healthy. But the small blood vessels behind the eye are some of the most delicate in the whole body. And after 60, what you put on your plate decides whether they stay open or start closing up. By the end of this video, you will know which 5 to stop, what to swap them for tomorrow morning, and the one missing piece almost everybody our age is overlooking, the piece your body literally cannot make on its own anymore. My name is Mama Aisha Diallo, and for over 40 years, I have served folks in my community as a master herbalist. The plant knowledge I carry came from my grandmother in the Fuda Jalan Highlands of Guinea, and I deepened it with the bush doctors of the Caribbean and the root workers of the Gullah Coast here in the American South. My grandmother used to say something I want you to hold today. She said, all sickness begins in the belly, and the eyes are where you can see how the belly is doing. That line matters more than you know, because here is what most folks never get told. After the age of 60, your gut loses up to 50% of the beneficial bacteria it had at 30, half of it gone. And that bacteria is what helps your body absorb the very nutrients your eye vessels depend on. You can eat the right foods and still come up short because the factory inside the belly is running at half capacity. Hold that number in your mind. 50%, we are coming back to it. My mother kept her sight clear into her late 80s. Her mother saw clearly until she passed at 91. 5 generations of women in my family threaded needles in evening light. They ate the way the old people ate, and they avoided the things our people avoid. A long study out of Johns Hopkins followed nearly 14,000 adults for 12 years and found that small vessel damage in the eye, the kind that quietly steals vision, was reduced by 41% in folks who avoided certain everyday foods. 41%, my children. That is not a supplement. That is not surgery. That is the kitchen. Now the order matters here. Each food makes the next one more harmful, so we count down from 5 to 1, and number 1 is the master. Stay with me because at the end of number 1, I am going to show you the missing piece I personally landed on after years of searching. The piece that closes the last 30% of the gap food alone cannot reach. Let me start. Number 5 is processed breakfast cereal. The boxes that line the morning aisle. You pour it in the bowl, you add the milk, you think you are starting your daylight, but what is actually happening is something called glycation. When refined carbohydrate hits the bloodstream too fast, the sugar molecules attach to proteins inside your blood vessel walls, including the very thin ones behind the eye. Glycation is just sugar sticking to tissue and stiffening it. Think of a clean rubber band left out in the sun until it goes brittle and cracks. That is what is happening to the lining of your tiny eye vessels every single morning. Here is the aging-specific part. After 60, your liver no longer clears these sugar protein clumps as quickly as it did at 30. Researchers at the University of Michigan followed about 2,400 adults over 60 for 9 years and found that those eating cereal as their main breakfast had a 38% higher rate of small vessel changes in the retina. I think of Eleanor, a 73-year-old retired school teacher from Cedar Rapids. She had eaten the same sweetened bran cereal every morning for 41 years. We took her off the cereal, put her on slow-soaked oats with cinnamon and a spoonful of cooked moringa leaf. By month 3, her optometrist measured a meaningful improvement in the small vessel reading in her right eye. But Eleanor told me something important. She said, "Mama, the food got me most of the way, but I still felt like my body was not absorbing the way it used to." Hold that thought because almost every one of these stories ends the same way, and there is a reason. The fix is plain. Skip the box. Soak whole oats overnight in water with a pinch of salt, cook them slow in the morning, add cinnamon and a small handful of berries. But the cereal is not even the worst of it. The fat you cook your eggs in might be doing something quieter and faster. Number 4 is industrial seed oil. Soybean oil, corn oil, canola oil, the big yellow jugs in nearly every American kitchen. These oils are processed at very high heat and stripped with chemical solvents before they ever reach your shelf. By the time you pour them in the pan, they are already partly oxidized. Oxidation is rust, baby. The same rust on a metal gate left in the rain. When you eat oxidized oil, you are eating rust, and that rust travels into your blood and lodges in the smallest vessels first. After 60, the eye's tiny capillaries lose about 30% of their flexibility, which means the oxidative damage a younger body could shrug off now sticks. A study from the Mayo Clinic looked at about 1,100 older adults over 7 years and found that those cooking primarily with seed oils had a 44% higher rate of macular thinning. Please speak with your doctor before changing any oil habit, especially if you take blood thinners, because some traditional fats do shift how your blood moves. The fix is to put those big yellow jugs in the bin. Cook with extra virgin olive oil for low heat, grass-fed butter or ghee for medium heat, and avocado oil or clean coconut oil for higher heat. Smell your oil before you pour it. If it smells like nothing or faintly of paint, that bottle is rancid. Good oil smells alive. If this is helping you so far, take 2 seconds and tap the subscribe button. I am trying to reach more folks our age who never get told these things, and YouTube only shows my videos to the next grandmother if you tell it this one mattered. Now we move to your hand in the afternoon, the cup most folks over 60 are holding right now. Number 3 is excess caffeine, especially the second and third cup of coffee after noon. I am not coming for your morning cup. The morning cup has its place, but the cup at 2 in the afternoon and the cup at 4, those are pulling water out of every cell in your body, and the eye is mostly water. Caffeine tells your kidneys to release fluid faster than they should. After 60, your sense of thirst dulls, so you do not drink to replace what you lose. The vessels in your eye get thicker, slower, and the cells of your retina, which are unusually thirsty cells, start to struggle. Picture an old well pump that has not been primed. The water is still down there, but it cannot move. That is your eye on the third cup of coffee at 3 in the afternoon. A study out of Korea following over 6,000 adults over 50 for 10 years found that those drinking more than 3 cups of caffeinated beverage daily had a 36% higher rate of dry eye and small vessel slowing in the retina. Robert, a 78-year-old retired bus driver from Savannah, came to me with constant grittiness in his eyes. He was drinking 5 cups of coffee a day plus 2 cans of soda. We cut him to 1 cup before 10 in the morning, then water with lemon and ginger. Within 6 weeks, the grittiness reduced significantly, but Robert told me the same thing Eleanor told me. He said, "Mama, my eyes feel better, but I can tell my body is still working harder than it should to absorb anything I put in it." There it is again. We will come back to it. The fix is 1 cup of coffee in the morning. After that, water, hibiscus tea, or warm ginger water through the rest of the day. But here is something most folks miss. There is something hiding in your refrigerator drawer that is doing damage faster than the coffee, faster than the cereal, faster than the seed oil. Number 2 is processed deli meat and packaged sandwich meat. The turkey slices, the ham, the salami, the boxed lunch meat that looks innocent. These foods are loaded with sodium nitrate and sodium nitrite, preservatives that keep the meat pink and shelf stable. When these compounds meet the protein in your stomach, they form something called nitrosamines, which travel through the bloodstream and quietly raise the pressure inside the small vessels of the eye, including the pressure inside the eyeball itself. Higher intraocular pressure is one of the strongest signals that the optic nerve is being squeezed. Think of a garden hose with someone slowly stepping on it. The water still trickles, but the flowers at the far end start to wilt. Your retina is the flowers at the far end. After 60, your kidneys process about 25% less sodium per hour than in your 40s, so the excess sits longer. A study from Australia followed nearly 9,000 adults over 50 for 8 years and found those eating processed meat 3 or more times a week had a 47% higher rate of measurable pressure rise in the eye. Dorothy, a 69-year-old retired hairdresser from Flagstaff, came to me with rising eye pressure and a doctor recommending early intervention. The daily turkey sandwich she had been eating since her husband passed was sitting on her optic nerve. We replaced it with slow-cooked beans and roasted chicken thigh. Within 5 months, her pressure reading improved meaningfully, and her doctor delayed any intervention. The fix is to read every label. Nitrate, nitrite, or a long list of words you do not recognize. Leave it on the shelf. Now the master, my children, the number one. The food I have watched do more damage to the small vessels of the eye than any other in my 40 years of work. The number one most damaging food for your eye vessels after 60 is sugary drinks, and I do not just mean soda. I mean fruit juice from concentrate, sweetened iced tea, the bottled smoothies in the gas station refrigerator, and yes, the orange juice your doctor probably told you was healthy in the 1980s. Liquid sugar is different from sugar in food. When sugar arrives in liquid form, it hits the bloodstream within minutes, with no fiber to slow it down. Your pancreas pours out insulin to handle the flood, and over years, this same flood damages the inner lining of every blood vessel, but especially the ones in the back of the eye, which have no second pathway for blood to travel. The small vessels of the retina are end vessels. Once they are scarred, the path is closed. After 60, your body's ability to process liquid sugar drops sharply. The same glass of orange juice that did nothing to you at 30 now spikes your blood sugar 3 times higher and keeps it elevated almost twice as long. A Harvard study following almost 18,000 adults over 55 for 14 years found those drinking one sugary drink daily had a 52% higher rate of diabetic pattern eye damage, even in folks who had never been diagnosed with diabetes. I want to tell you about Beatrice, a 75-year-old retired church organist from Asheville. She came to me last year with vision getting worse for 3 years straight. Her eye doctor was already talking about injections. She had been drinking a large glass of orange juice every morning since the 1960s because her mother told her it was good for her. We took her off the juice. We had her eat one whole orange a day with the white pith left on, drink warm water with lemon and ginger in the morning. 4 months in, her next eye exam showed measurable improvement in retinal small vessel readings. But here's the part I need you to listen to closely because this is the part most folks our age get wrong. The food fix got Beatrice about 70% of the way. The last 30% did not move. Her eyes felt better, the readings improved, but she plateaued. And I had seen this exact plateau in Eleanor, in Robert, in Dorothy, and in dozens of others over my 40 years. Same pattern every time. The food gets them most of the way, then the body stalls. For years, I asked myself why. The answer is what I told you at the beginning. After 60, your gut loses up to 50% of its beneficial bacteria, half. And the eye vessels we are trying to feed depend on what the gut absorbs. You can eat the cleanest plate in America and still come up short because the factory delivering those nutrients is running at half capacity. The old grandmothers in the Fuda Jalan knew this without knowing the science. They fermented their food. They ate cultured cassava, fermented millet, sour porridge. They were feeding the gut bacteria every single day from childhood until death, so the factory never broke down. Most folks our age in America have not had a bite of fermented food in months. So I went looking. I looked for almost 2 years. I tried regular probiotics, and the research is now clear that most of them die in the stomach acid before they ever reach the gut. I tried fermented drinks, but most of the ones in the store are pasteurized, which kills the bacteria. I went back to my grandmother's notebook and to the old Caribbean bush doctors and asked what would they take if they were here in America today in a body that is 65, 70, 80. What I landed on is a kombucha gummy called BoochBod, and the reason I trust it, the reason it sits on my own kitchen counter, is that it is the only thing I have found that solves all 3 pieces at once. Most products are just probiotics, the seed, but a seed will not grow without soil, and it will not bear fruit without time. BoochBod has all three. The prebiotic fiber, that is the soil, what feeds the good bacteria. The probiotic strain, lactospore, the seed, and this one is special because it survives the stomach acid where most strains die. And the postbiotics, LM1004, the fruit, the actual healing compound the bacteria produce in the belly, the part your body uses to repair the lining of those small vessels we have been talking about. They also brought back two plants my grandmother kept in her cabinet in the Highlands: dandelion root and slippery elm. Dandelion for the liver, slippery elm for the lining of the gut. Two plants that have been used for generations, sitting right there in the formula. It is a gummy berry flavor, not a pill. That matters more than folks realize. After a certain age, swallowing capsules gets harder, and many of my older clients had simply stopped taking supplements because the pills were uncomfortable. A gummy you can chew first thing in the morning, no water, no struggle. Over 30,000 folks are already using it. Beatrice, the church organist, started taking BoochBod about a month after we cleaned up her diet. Within 60 days, her plateau broke. The remaining vision improvement came through. She sat in my kitchen with tears coming down her cheeks and said, "Mama Aisha, I can read my hymnal again. I can see the notes on the page. I am playing again on Sundays. The link is in the description below this video." They offer a 60-day guarantee, which means you can try it for 2 full months. And if your body does not respond, you send it back. No questions. Oh, I would not recommend it to my own clients if it did not stand behind itself like that. And as always, please speak to your doctor before starting any supplement, especially if you are on medications. The food fixes are the foundation. They have to come first. But after 60, the foundation alone is not enough because the gut that delivers those nutrients to your eye vessels is not the gut you had at 30. The seed, the soil, and the fruit, all three every day, that is the path the old grandmothers walked without ever knowing the words. Let me lock in the 5 for you one more time, fast. Number 5, the processed cereal, swap for slow-soaked oats with cinnamon. Number 4, the industrial seed oils, swap for olive oil, key, and clean coconut. Number 3, the afternoon coffee, swap for hibiscus and warm ginger water. Number 2, the processed deli meat, swap for whole pieces of meat you cook yourself. And number 1, the master, the sugary drinks of every kind, swap for water, lemon, and whole fruit. My children, this is about the moment your great-granddaughter brings you a flower she picked from the garden, and you can see the thin red line down the center of the petal where the rain ran. The body knows how to rebuild small vessels. Even at 70, even at 75, even at 80, the lining of those vessels is still listening to what arrives at the gut tomorrow morning. If you are ready to feed the foundation, the BoochBod link is in the description. 60-day guarantee. Take care of yourself, my children. I will see you in the next video.